This actor exemplifies the journey of facing one's demons and conquering them. Ben Affleck rose to prominence in Hollywood by transitioning from acting to directing. His life abruptly collapsed just when everything seemed to be going well. His acting career seemed to be in ruins, yet he transformed into a talented and underappreciated director, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. Please come along as we examine Ben Affleck's stunning but paradoxical life. Baby Benjamin. On August 15, 1972, Ben Affleck was born in Berkeley, California. His mother, Christopher Ann Bolt, often called Chris, was an elementary school teacher with a Harvard degree. His father, Timothy Byers Affleck, had been an actor in the 1960s and wanted to become a writer simultaneously. The son of Chris and Timothy, Benjamin Geza Affleck Bolt, was named. In memory of a family friend who had fortunately escaped the Holocaust, they decided to give him his middle name. Putting down roots. Ben's younger brother, Casey, a fellow actor and collaborator, was born in Falmouth, Massachusetts when the Affleck-Bolt family relocated there in 1975. The family moved to Cambridge, close to Harvard University, where Chris had studied shortly after the birth of their second son. Because artists were around then, Ben and Casey were encouraged to produce their home movies growing up and often went to the cinema with their mother. Since Ben grew up in Boston and Massachusetts, you may have noticed that these cities serve as a backdrop for many of his films. The same is true in Manchester by the Sea from 2016, Casey's most remarkable film. Daddy issues. Their father, Timothy, was an alcoholic who had several blue-collar jobs at Harvard University, including janitor, carpenter, bookie, electrician, bartender, and auto mechanic. Keep in mind, it'll be helpful later. Ben acknowledges that when his parents split in 1983, he felt a sense of relief since Timothy's drinking had become troublesome. Regretfully, Timothy kept drinking excessively and finally became homeless, living on Cambridge's streets for 2 years. To control his addiction, Ben's father eventually checked himself into a California recovery center when Ben was 16 years old, and he spent 12 years there. After a while, he changed his ways and became an addiction counselor. Keep that in mind for later as well. It runs in the family. The history of the Affleck family is lengthy and illustrious. They left Prussia in the late 1840s, and when Ben was 12 years old, Heinrich Bolt, his great-great-grandfather, unintentionally came upon the 900-year-old Norse relic known as the Crimson Disc. Unfortunately, there's a strong family history of addiction and mental illness. Ben and Casey's maternal grandmother also had a barbiturate addiction, and both of their grandparents were alcoholics. At the early age of 46, she committed herself. Another relative had a heroin addiction, and Timothy's brother was also an addict who killed himself by shooting himself. Because of his father's problems with addiction, Ben went to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings as a youngster. And that's not all. Alcohol dependency. It may surprise you to learn that Ben, a high achiever, is also in recovery from alcoholism and adheres to the 12-step program. He also has despair and anxiety. He's been taking antidepressants since he was 26 to deal with this. Casey started drinking while they were adolescents and is now in recovery. Ben, at 15, was sent to an outward-bound camp for at-risk teens by his mother rather than a conventional residential treatment program. It took me a long time to fundamentally, deeply, without a hint of doubt, admit to myself that I am an alcoholic. Ben quit drinking in his mid-20s, saying that alcohol was dangerous for him. Sadly, he was correct. Later in life, his addiction would reappear and cost him everything. I'm Gonna Be a Star. At 7, Ben had his acting debut in The Dark End of the Street in 1981, an indie film directed by a family friend. He then starred in The Voyage of Mimi in 1984, a children's show on the public broadcasting service that took him to Mexico for filming. While in Latin America, Ben, Casey, and their mother studied Spanish. Ben's phobia of flying may have started on a youth vacation to Mexico when his aircraft was hit by lightning. Years later, Ben demonstrated his fluency in Spanish at the Mexico City premiere of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice in 2016. During his interviews, he answered all the questions in Spanish. If that wasn't remarkable enough, did you know Ben mastered Arabic and majored in Middle Eastern affairs in college? Not just a pretty face. School ties. The handsome beefcake, Ben Affleck, who was only 5'1" in his freshman year at Cambridge Ringe and Latin High School, described himself as an awkward theater geek. However, he participated in theater productions inspired by his high school drama teacher, Gary Specka. He developed an unbreakable bond with one fellow student and actor, Matt Damon, which still exists today. The two boys have been best friends since Ben was 8 years old, having met at elementary school and growing up just 2 blocks away, with Pearl Street between their childhood homes. If you build it, they will come. Ben was unfocused and frequently played hooky, but he did well in school and earned enviable SAT scores. Despite being 2 years older than his future collaborator, he and Matt had similar interests. Both boys wanted to make movies and pursue acting careers. As teenagers, the two die-hard Boston Red Sox fans played extras in Field of Dreams in 1989, traveled to New York together for acting auditions, and were so close that they saved money for train tickets and a joint bank account. At 18, Affleck moved to Los Angeles and attended Occidental College for a year and a half, where he also made short films. He soon got a role in the television movie Daddy in 1991 and appeared uncredited as a basketball player in Joss Whedon's unsuccessful Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie in 1992. On Top of the World. The sports drama School Ties in '92 was the first professional film in which Matt and Ben were cast together after Ben recommended his friend to his agent. They made $75,000 between them and thought they were the cat's whiskers. So they rented a house on Venice Beach and threw the party of the century for 800 people. However, the two would-be playboys were shocked to find out they owed taxes. They owed $15,000 to the IRS and soon ran out of money for their celebrity lifestyle, so they downsized to an apartment until their next big gig, which was just around the corner. High school jock. Affleck later cited Richard Linklater as instrumental in demystifying the filmmaking process. Ben's next move was to follow the crowd and play a high school quarterback in the NBC television drama series Against the Grain in 1993. In Body to Die For, he played another high school football player. The Aaron Henry Story, 1994, concerned that he would always play characters who were throwing people into their lockers, Ben was already in danger of being typecast forever. Linklater wanted someone big and imposing to play his villain, and he recognized that Ben had more depth than the typical high school jock. Glory Days. Then in the indie comedy Glory Days in 1995, Ben won his first starring role and broke free from his regular role as the high school bullying jock by playing the role of an aimless art student. Affleck has starred in numerous films directed by Kevin Smith and made cameos in many more. Kevin Smith wrote his wildly underappreciated romantic comedy Chasing Amy in 1997 and cast his new friend opposite Joey Lauren Adams. After playing a recently returned Korean War veteran in Going All the Way in 1997, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon's lives were about to change as they worked on a script to propel them to fame. Good Will Hunting. The screenplay they were working on began in 1992 when Matt wrote a 40-page script for a Harvard writing class. Matt and Ben rehearsed the scenes in front of the class and continued to improvise scenes. Based on their experiences, the film was set in and around their hometown of Cambridge, Massachusetts, and drew inspiration from their experiences. The therapist character is likely a later version of Ben's dad after he became an addiction counselor, and the janitor character, a traumatized genius working a job way beneath his potential, was inspired by an early version of Ben's dad. Pre-production. The two sold the screenplay to Castle Rock in 1994 when Affleck was 22 and Damon was 24. They received notes from Castle Rock president Rob Reiner and screenwriting guru William Goldman, who suggested that they abandon the spy thriller plotline, which involved Will Hunting being hired by the FBI. Good Will Hunting was finally ready for production, but there was only one issue. The boys in Castle Rock couldn't agree on actors and a director. Of course, Ben and Matt wanted to star, but the executives wanted Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. We love you both, Brad and Leo, but no. Did you read it? If one producer was going to see the sex scenes, it was disgraced Harvey Weinstein, who read the script and loved it. In a meeting, he told them, "I just have one huge note. The two young writers used explicit male sex scenes to test that they weren't paranoid after sending their Good Will Hunting drafts to production companies. They had a funny feeling that they weren't reading the entire script because they got no feedback. There is a large sex scene on page 60 where the two professors are on their knees and engage in oral sex. What on earth is that?" After reading their screenplay, Matt and Ben were so happy that they requested Weinstein to film their movie. He purchased the property from Castle Rock. "Because you guys are straight and there's no hint of anything like that, I don't get that scene." Hollywood's leading men. After a year of hard work, they finally returned to Boston, where the film was made. Gus Van Sant directed Good Will Hunting, which starred Minnie Driver and the late, great Robin Williams as Will's therapist. Before Good Will Hunting became a huge hit and even won Affleck and Damon the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay, Ben and Matt were well known in Hollywood. Matt went on to play the title role in Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan in 1998, while Ben traveled to space in Michael Bay's Armageddon in 98, where he played animal crackers on Liv Tyler's stomach and assisted Bruce Willis in saving the Earth from an asteroid. Ben calls this time in his life dreamlike. That same year, they established Pearl Street Productions, named after the road that divided their childhood homes. Love's Labors Lost. Although Affleck was known for his strict ways, he demonstrated his versatility as an actor by showcasing his comedic skills in Shakespeare in Love in 1998, which starred his then-girlfriend, Gwyneth Paltrow. After meeting the previous year, their relationship turned into a comedy of errors, and they broke up in January 1999. However, she convinced him to co-star in Bounce in the year 2000, and they reunited before calling it quits by Halloween. Ben claims their lifestyles just didn't mesh well, with Gwyneth more into meditation and wellness, well, he was less so. Room at the Top. Ben then re-teamed with Damon and Kevin Smith to star in Smith's fantasy comedy Dogma in 1999. Affleck then starred in the tense drama Boiler Room in 99 and the rom-com Forces of Nature, also in 99. While filming the action thriller Reindeer Games in the year 2000, he was knocked out by actor Dana Stubblefield and taken to the hospital. Finally, he made his breakthrough in Michael Bay's disastrous World War II film Pearl Harbor in 2001. Meanwhile, Matt Damon was filming The Bourne Identity in 2002, which led to Jason Bourne, a spy with amnesia. While Matt's career continued to soar, Ben's was about to take a nosedive. Jenny from the Block. In 2002, Ben Affleck appeared in Jennifer Lopez's music video for Jenny from the Block. The two dated until 2004, and in exchange for a $1 million diamond ring when they got engaged, she wrote him the song Dear Ben, which has the lyrics, "I just can't control myself, I can't be with no one else. It seems like I'm addicted to the way you like to touch me." Looks like a fair trade to us. Yes, before Brangelina, Bennifer was the most talked about celebrity couple in the world. Still, his acting career took a nosedive after a string of consecutive box office failures. Fall from grace. Ben had been managing his alcoholism pretty well, but in the year 2001, he had to check into rehab and remained sober for a couple of years. Perhaps his newfound level of fame drove him to drink more. Whatever the reason, there's a correlation between his drinking and his career downturn, which began with a series of incredibly poorly received films. The first was playing his favorite superhero, blind lawyer Matt Murdock, in Daredevil in 2002. This is the only movie he says he regretted making. Next was the much-derided rom-com Gigli in 2003, co-starring Jennifer Lopez, followed by Paycheck in 2003. However, Kevin Smith's awful rom-com Jersey Girl in 2004 was the nail in the coffin. Sorry, Kevin, we love you, but that movie sucked. While discussing Paychecks, would you believe Ben was paid $15 million to star in Paycheck? Everyone's a critic. When critics don't disparage you, you know you're dying. According to GQ magazine, by the end of 2003, Affleck had become the world's most overexposed actor, which meant that the quality of the scripts he was receiving got worse and worse, and it looked like his acting career might be over. As a result, he took a career break, and while on his sabbatical, he got together with another Jennifer. Jennifer Garner. Affleck became friends with actress Jennifer Garner while filming Pearl Harbor, and the two grew closer on Daredevil after she played Matt Murdock's girlfriend/nemesis, Elektra. They started dating in 2004 and were married in the Turks and Caicos Islands the following June. They had a daughter named Violet Ann 6 months later, followed by Serafina Rose Elizabeth in 2009 and Samuel Garner in 2012. However, we're getting ahead of ourselves. After he married Jennifer and they had their first child, and he quit smoking with a hypnotist, Affleck returned with a vengeance. Ben explained that parenthood and Jen were a perfect fit for him. Sharing it with others you care about is far more pleasant. Directing. He starred in the crime thriller Smokin' Aces and the comedy Man About Town in 2006, before giving an award-caliber performance as George Reeves in Hollywoodland, a noir biopic about the tragic life of the first Superman on television. Take that, haters! In 2007, Affleck made his feature film directing debut with Gone Baby Gone, a thriller set in a working-class Boston neighborhood, starring his brother Casey as a private investigator looking for a kidnapped young woman. The film was well received, and Ben co-wrote the screenplay with Aaron Stockard, another childhood friend. The Town. After the success of Gone Baby Gone, Warner Brothers gave him carte blanche in the studio scripts, so he decided to direct The Town in 2010, a surprise sleeper hit that starred Affleck as a Bostonian bank robber. The New York Times film critic A.O. Scott praised his skill and self-confidence as a serious director. Roger Ebert wrote, "Affleck has the stuff of a real director. Warner Brothers, it's everything here. It's a good thriller. He has a sense of timing and works closely with performers." Ben was gradually putting an end to his detractors. Argo. Affleck's next directing role was in Warner Brothers' Argo in 2012, where he played a CIA agent. The film is a gripping true story about the CIA's plans to rescue 6 American diplomats during the 1979 Iran hostage crisis by pretending to be the American producers of a multi-million-dollar science fiction film. Argo won the BAFTA for Best Picture, but it was oddly passed over by the Academy. However, don't take our word for it. Rolling Stone's Peter Travers stated, "Affleck takes the next step in what looks like a major directing career." That's not enough praise. Anthony Lane of The New Yorker called the film further proof that we were wrong about Ben Affleck. So, in your face, skeptics. He directs the hell out of it, nailing the quickening pace, the wayward humor, and the nerve-frying suspense. Batfleck. God help me if I ever do another movie with an explosion, Ben said in 2013. You won't believe what happened next. A few months later, DC announced that Affleck would be their next Batman in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Dave Itzkoff of The New York Times called the decision a bewildering choice after he had established himself as such a talented filmmaker. At 40, Affleck was the oldest actor ever cast as Batman, and he had to work out for 2 days to gain muscle and lose weight. Bat fans detested the idea of him playing Batman and Bruce Wayne, but he did a good job as Batman and Bruce Wayne, despite the film's failure. He donned the bat suit again for a cameo in Suicide Squad in 2016, a universally hated film. The Demon Drink. Sadly, Ben and Jennifer announced their separation on their 10th anniversary in 2015. Ben continued to live in a guest house at the family home for the next 2 years, and they shared custody of the children. Following the divorce, Affleck was frequently photographed by paparazzi with a silver beard of doom, looking disheveled, depressed, and significantly overweight. The man himself revealed that it wasn't the divorce or watching a rough cut of Justice League from 2017 that had caused him to turn to alcohol again, but rather the demon drink had reared its ugly head long before the divorce. What occurred was that in 2015 or 2016, when my marriage was failing, I began drinking more and more, he stated. Naturally, my drinking led to additional marital issues. I wish that hadn't happened. Regrets, I've had a few. YouTubers created videos of sad Affleck as Henry Cavill animatedly discussed Batman vs. Superman, while the opening lines of Simon & Garfunkel's most famous line played in the background. By 2020, Affleck told New York Times that ruining his marriage to Jennifer was the biggest regret of my life. He also acknowledged that there was always a lot of alcoholism and mental illness in my family, and that his father, Timothy, would drink heavily when he was growing up. Unfortunately, Ben Affleck had lost his way again in a case of "Hello Darkness, my old friend." Pay it forward. Suppose you can call Rocket Raccoon a superhero, not a trash-talking, trash-can-eating rabbit. Iron Man and Rocket Raccoon help Batman fight his alcohol addiction. Charlie Sheen is another actor with alcohol and substance abuse issues who helped Affleck get well. In 2001, the Two and a Half Men star drove Ben to rehab. In 2013, after he'd been managing his drinking for years, Affleck chose to return the favor by visiting Lindsay Lohan while she was in rehab to give the troubled 27-year-old star advice on staying sober and reviving her Hollywood career. Lucky at cards, unlucky in love. Ben's vices are not limited to alcohol. Did you know that he also had gambling issues? He is a master at poker, winning the California State Championships, earning a top prize of $356,400, and even making it to the World Poker Tour final tournament. He was banned from the Las Vegas Hard Rock Casino for life after being caught counting cards while playing blackjack. Not illegal in and of itself, but you will be banned from casinos if you're caught. Ben's other pastimes include vintage video arcade games, and he owns Miss Pac-Man and millipede machines. Kill your darlings. In the meantime, back in Gotham City, Warner Brothers had arranged for Affleck to co-write, direct, and star in The Batman in 2022. However, due to his relapse into alcoholism, Affleck was forced to hang up the cape, claiming that he couldn't crack it and that he no longer felt passionate about the story. Instead, Robert Pattinson wore a new Bat cape, directed by Matt Reeves. Another movie Ben couldn't make was the Blade Runner sequel, which he claimed he would have loved to have directed. Denis Villeneuve went on to direct the well-known sci-fi sequel, Blade Runner 2049, which was released in 2017. You lie. At the height of the Me Too movement in 2017, Ben also publicly distanced himself from Miramax producer and sexual predator Harvey Weinstein, who was primarily responsible for his and Matt Damon's early success, saying he only knew Weinstein was sleazy and a bully. Actress and activist Rose McGowan called him out, tweeting, "You lie," claiming that Affleck shielded the sexual predator by keeping quiet. McGowan had once told Affleck the producer had sexually assaulted her, to which he responded, "God damn it, I told him to stop doing that." Ben made amends, to some extent, by donating future profits from his early Miramax films to sexual assault charities. Future profits? Come on, Ben. The Way Back. Regretfully, Ben relapsed into alcoholism in 2018 during pre-production of the sports drama The Way Back. Ironically, he played a recovering alcoholic, and many of the movie's themes struck a little too close to home. The film was shot following another stint in rehab, and despite his many issues, the actor gave the most vulnerable, raw, and natural performance of his career. Then, in late 2019, just as he was getting back on track, a TMZ video of him stumbling and clinging to a car street while wearing a Halloween mask went viral. The following day, Ben admitted he had fallen off the wagon once more after more than a year of sobriety. Batmobile. When it comes to cars, Ben Affleck is more than just a daredevil on screen. Did you know he owns 5 motorcycles, including a $30,000 Harley-Davidson electric motorcycle? He wears black, like Batman, and rides them whenever possible, but the Batcycle isn't one of them. In 1999, he was given a $135 traffic ticket for driving in Massachusetts with a suspended license, presumably because he was too busy working to renew his license. A life less ordinary. Ben recently described his career as follows. I was nobody auditioning, and then I was seen as this young, emerging talent, writer, Oscar winner, and then I was seen as this blockbuster actor, and then I was seen as this train wreck actor, and then I was seen as this resurgent director. Ben's calmed down and become much more grounded after so many highs and lows. And now I think I'm just somebody in Hollywood who works. When his world fell apart, he was the target of everyone's jokes, but he was stronger than ever to prove his detractors wrong and establish himself as a fearless and talented filmmaker. In terms of relationships, Ben and Jennifer Lopez got back together in the spring of 2021, and the two tragically got married in 2022. Would this lead to another resurrection? His directing career is still young, but what does his future hold? The future. Affleck appeared in Ridley Scott's medieval drama The Last Duel in 2021, based on a script he and Matt Damon co-wrote with Nicole Holofcener. A few months later, he starred in The Tender Bar, directed by George Clooney, another unlikely actor who became a brilliant director. He then co-starred with Ana de Armas in Adrian Lyne's thriller Deep Water in 2022, and reprised his role as Batman in The Flash in 2022, alongside Michael Keaton. Affleck's upcoming projects include adapting the books The Big Goodbye, Chinatown and the Last Years of Hollywood, and King Leopold's Ghost, which tells the story of Belgium's kings, Leopold II, plundering the Congo and a humanitarian cause Ben is passionate about. Lastly, he has a true-life crime drama about the McDonald's Monopoly fraud case on his plate. Whatever he decides to do, you can bet he'll do it brilliantly. If you've watched the video till here, that means you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notifications bell icon